Here is your one-stop update on everything that happened in the Avalanche ecosystem last week. I'll update you on it all so you know everything you need to know. My name's DeFi Site. I create content all around crypto, blockchain and Web3. I am a member of Avalanche Team 1, so if you want to have access to all of this type of content, all about Avalanche, all about crypto, like and subscribe on YouTube. The channel name is DeFi_Site, so sub there and catch me on my socials. Okay, let's jump in. First up, let's take a quick look at price action. Bitcoin has just closed last week on $118,542. AVAX just closed last week on $23.84. So some good price action for both on the last 7 days. A quick look across the memes and more in the Avalanche ecosystem shows a very mixed bag. Lots of ups, lots of downs. We do also like to take a look at Bitcoin dominance, which is down to just over 60%. So down from its recent highs over 62% in August and much higher before. So this is something to keep an eye on to see if this is the start of some liquidity moving into alts, especially as we did see ETH back over $4,000 this week, which is usually seeing the major alts start moving is a good sign and should see some flow down into AVAX and then down into the ecosystem as a whole. So let's jump in and have a look at the week's news. There was a massive announcement from Visa this week. Visa is bringing instant stablecoin settlement on-chain and it's doing it on Avalanche. So sending money to another country, for example, can be super slow and costly. Bank transfers often take days to complete. Fees can eat into the amount that you're sending, especially for international transfers. Visa is changing this by using blockchain and it's using Avalanche to make settlement happen in just minutes. So here's the idea. Now, if a company, for example, wants to send money internationally, they can now send USDC, which is a US dollar-backed stablecoin, straight to Visa's wallet on Avalanche. Visa then handles the final settlement automatically without going through loads of banks or different middlemen. It means it's faster, it's cheaper, and more direct value for transfers worldwide. So let's look a little bit deeper into this. It's a big step because Visa isn't just experimenting, they're actually using Avalanche's seed chain for on-chain settlement. Well, things with direct stablecoin transfers, partners can send USDC directly to Visa's blockchain address. Since the USDC is pegged one-to-one to the US dollar, there's no volatility risk during settlement. There's automated reconciliation, so once the funds hit Visa's wallet, Avalanche's smart contracts automate the reconciliation and the final settlement. It replaces a multi-day, multi-step process of traditional cross-border banking. So why have they chose Avalanche? Now, Avalanche offers low transaction fees, sub-second finality, and the throughput needed for high volume payments. That's got speed when it matters, and if you're aiming to replace legacy systems that already handle billions of transactions, this is what's needed. It's got real-world application. This is opening up the door for fintech apps, big gig economy payouts, international payroll, and instant merchant settlements, all with fewer intermediaries and potentially lower costs for end users. So what does this mean for Avalanche? Now, Visa's integration is a major credibility boost for Avalanche. It shows that a global payments leader that trusts the network security, the speed and scalability for real financial infrastructure that Avalanche provides. There were some big stats for usage this week in the Avalanche ecosystem. Big milestones for Avalanche last week. Contracts deployed on Avalanche's seed chain have just hit an all-time high. In fact, in 2025 alone, we've already seen more than 30 million contracts deployed. That's actually more than the last 4 years combined, which shows a huge wave of builders and projects launching on Avalanche. It's not just the developers, the user activity is also at record levels. In July, monthly active addresses across all Avalanche Layer 1s reached 7.3 million, the highest ever. And since May, Avalanche has been averaging over 6 million monthly users, with that number still growing. So let's look at this a bit deeper. Now, if you're into tracking network health, etc. and activity and adoption trends, these numbers are super bullish. The C-chain contract deployments. The C-chain is Avalanche's EVM compatible chain, where most of the DeFi, NFT, the Web3 gaming activity happens, hitting 30 million contracts a year, which is more than 4 years of history combined. This is showing massive growth in developer engagement, but it's not just hype, it's a reflection of actual on-chain building. The active addresses across L1s, that 7.3 million active addresses metric covers all indexed Avalanche subnets and layer 1 chains. It shows that activity isn't just concentrated on one particular dApp or one vertical, the entire Avalanche ecosystem is buzzing. This is all about user momentum, so sustaining 6 million plus monthly users for multiple months is a massive indicator that Avalanche is onboarding sticky users, not just experiencing temporary hype spikes. Now, if this type of trend continues, it can really be contributing to a healthier token economy, stronger network effects, all going into the next market cycle. So what does this mean for Avalanche? Now, when developer activity surges, it often precedes an increase in token utility and ecosystem liquidity. If this growth in contracts and users continues, it can positively affect AVAX price and demand, especially if we're getting more DeFi protocols, GameFi projects, and NFT marketplaces all launching on Avalanche. Last week, President Trump signed an executive order allowing Bitcoin and crypto in 401ks. This is big news from the US this week. President Trump signed the executive order. What this means is that American workers are allowed to invest in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies through their 401k retirement plans. Now, for those unfamiliar, a 401k is a retirement savings account where workers can invest money before taxes, often with their employer matching. Until now, all of these accounts were generally limited to trad investments, things like stocks and bonds. This change means that millions of Americans can soon have crypto as part of their long-term retirement portfolios. So let's look at this a bit deeper. Now, this move could have major implications for the crypto market. It's a big regulatory signal. An executive order doesn't automatically rewrite all the rules, but it directs agencies like the Department of Labor and Treasury to update their guidance so that crypto can be included in qualified retirement plans. This is a big institutional on-ramp. 401k providers will likely partner with custodians and crypto platforms to offer Bitcoin, Ethereum, and potentially other digital assets in managed portfolios. This is going to have a big market demand impact. Now, retirement accounts in the US hold trillions of dollars in assets. Even a small percentage of allocation to Bitcoin or other cryptos could create significant buying pressure over time. It's also symbolizing mainstream legitimacy. Including crypto in regulated retirement accounts signals to traditional investors that digital assets are no longer just on the fringes, they're being treated as a legitimate asset class alongside equities and bonds. Now, what can this mean for Avalanche? Now, while this announcement at the moment is pretty Bitcoin focused, it could have a ripple effect across the entire crypto ecosystem. Altcoin access could be positive now if retirement plan providers eventually offer crypto index funds or diversified baskets. Avalanche's native token, AVAX, and other layer 1 tokens could be included, which would be good. It would bring massive liquidity in, bring price buying action as well, and also a lot of pressure on the price, which should see number go up. Let's have a quick look at some other news across the Avalanche ecosystem. In brief, Euler Finance launched a ZK verified lending vault with keyring network on Avalanche. This means that institutions can now access DeFi, all while maintaining full privacy and compliance standards. As we've mentioned about some stats, July was the highest volume year to date for DEX and Avalanche with 7.7 billion of volume. Black hole DEX accounted for 25% of the total volume, and Black hole DEX also crossed 3 billion in volume and 1 million in fees, with TVL up at 290 million. YOPay by XCoverPay is live on Avalanche Fusion. This is enabling seamless payments with a state-backed asset. No crypto experience is needed. I am working on a deep dive look into XCover, so stay tuned for that dropping this week. Benki Finance liquid staking pool on AVAX hit an all-time high with 15 million AVAX staked. On to some blockchain gaming. Play Off the Grid dropped some updates last week, including new items, a wall jump, a new lobby, a leaderboard, and a new eye. They also hit 80 million plays in just 20 days on Steam. Launch Loop XYZ announced funding from Avalanche and gaming on AVAX. So that's a super quick look into your roundup on Avalanche last week. I am looking forward to a big week this week with lots of news, announcements, and I'll be keeping you updated. So do like and subscribe on YouTube, follow me on all the socials, etc., to stay in the loop. Peace out, goodbye.